What are a buyer and seller's options if a property does not appraise for the contract sales price? And what is Tidewater? What is an amendatory clause? Hello and welcome. I'm Derek Barnadoe, a licensed real estate broker here in the state of Georgia and Vice President of Broker Services here at Solid Source Real Estate Companies, here to answer frequently asked questions surrounding appraisals. And our very first question is a great one, and it is, what happens if the property does not appraise? Can the buyer simply walk away from the deal? So it all depends on the terms of the contract. So really important to review the contract, any financing contingencies. For example, the GAR contract here in Georgia, on the financing contingency exhibits, that is where the appraisal language is going to be contained. If it's a cash deal and the cash exhibit is used, there is an option for an appraisal contingency on the cash exhibit as well. Now, short version of the answer, if it's an FHA or VA contingency, the buyer does not have to buy the property if the home does not appraise. If conventional financing is used, per the terms of GAR's conventional financing exhibit, the buyer would first need to send an amendment to reduce the sales price, giving the seller an opportunity to reduce the price first. Then if the seller does not agree to reduce the price, the buyer has a window of opportunity that they could terminate. What proactive steps can you recommend to avoid a low appraisal? That's a great question. Now, whether you're working with the buyer or the seller, really important to review the sales comps within the MLS. What have other properties similar to the subject property actually sold for? If there is comparables there that demonstrate that the property really is worth the price that the buyer's offered, then you're off to a great start. Oftentimes we find ourselves in a bit of a predicament and facing low appraisals when the comps aren't there and we've made an offer that has been accepted for greater than what other properties similar to that property have sold for. Now, also, if you're the buyer's agent or the seller's agent, consider what we refer to as an appraiser's package. This is basically a CMA and a list of any upgrades to the property. Anything that we can show the appraiser that the property really is worth the contract sales price or greater, let's go ahead and provide that to the appraiser so that they have that. And if there's any comps in the area that you feel like are bad comps and you're concerned that the appraiser may consider those, go ahead and print those out and include reasons as to why you don't think that that is a good comp, and that can go a very long way. Can an appraisal be challenged? The answer is yes, but the lender and the buyer would need to be willing to go along with that. And again, you would want to support that challenge with strong comps, showing that the property really is worth at least the contract sales price that the buyer and the seller have agreed to. What is an amendatory clause? Another great question. So if a buyer is seeking FHA or VA financing, on the FHA and VA financing exhibit itself, there's going to be a paragraph titled Amendatory Clause. And this is the appraisal contingency that essentially says if the property does not appraise, the buyer has the option of proceeding. In other words, they don't have to continue with the purchase. Now, most buyers are going to request a price reduction before they simply walk away. But the amendatory clause is the appraisal contingency. If the home doesn't appraise, the buyer does not have to purchase the home. And finally, I love this question, what is Tidewater? So Tidewater is in connection with a VA loan, and it's simply an appraiser raising their hand saying, hey, I am trying to complete an appraisal on the property, and I can't find comps. So unless you can demonstrate, unless you can share comps with me that can help me based on the data that I have right now, this appraisal is going to come up short. So it's an opportunity for the listing agent and the buyer's agent to provide information to the appraiser that can help them with their appraisal. And if the comps aren't there, then the appraisal is going to come up short. So that is what they have nicknamed Tidewater, and it is in connection with a VA loan. These were great questions. I hope that the answers you have found them helpful. Until next time, I'm Derek Barnadoe on behalf of Solid Source Real Estate Companies.